big cheer from the crowds. Been a lot of Rolls Royces tonight, but not many, of course, flying the royal pennant. And there inside, quite clearly, you can see His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen. So the Rolls pulls to a halt immediately opposite the red carpet. Her Majesty is wearing a green jade chiffon evening dress embroidered with floral design. Her Majesty and the Duke are greeted by the General Manager of the Odeon, Mr. Alan Harris Quelch, and he takes Her Majesty and the Duke inside, where he presents Mr. Sidney Samuelson, who's the President of the CTBF and, of course, its senior trustee. He, in turn, takes Her Majesty forward and presents his wife, Mrs. Doris Samuelson, and then Sir John Davis, the immediate past president, and Lady Davis in a very striking gown, Mr. Brian Cowgill, who's managing director of Thames Television, and Mrs. Jenny Cowgill, Sir John and Lady Wolfe. Sir John is a trustee and a distinguished filmmaker, and last but not least, Mr. Alex and Mrs. Vanessa Bernstein. Mr. Sidney Samuelson accompanies Her Majesty towards the staircase, followed by His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, who will be accompanied and escorted this evening by Sir John Davis. Now, perhaps this is a chance for me to go back to the Queen's dress, which is really very beautiful. It's in green chiffon jade, as I said earlier, embroidered with this lovely floral design. And there she is, picking up that full skirt to make sure she doesn't trip over it on the stairs. A diamond necklace, diamond drop earrings, which you can quite clearly see there on our camera. Mr. Sidney Samuelson, President of the CTBF, with her, of course. And now we come to the presentations at the top of the stairs. First of all, Mr. Francis T. Vincent, a graduate of Williams College, a law graduate, and then on to Mr. Richard Gallup, who is President and Chief Operating Officer of Columbia Pictures. A lot of people, of course, from Columbia Pictures, who are the distributors of this film, The Dresser. That's Mr. Guy McElwain. He's been 30 years in Hollywood, which makes him quite a veteran. Lovely view there of the Queen's delightful earrings. This is Mr. Jonathan Dolgan, another lawyer. And Mr. Patrick Williamson. Queen always shows a tremendous interest on these occasions. Now, this is Sir Patrick Meany. Sir Patrick Meany is chairman of the Rank Organisation. And next to him, Mr. James G. Lee, being presented to Her Majesty. Incidentally, the money for the dresser was all raised in this country. Many people think that the money for films is always raised outside this country. It was a point that was made, I think, in one of the interviews downstairs. Now Mr. John Heyman, who is co-producer of the film, chairman of World Film Services, and this is Mr. Tom Nicholas, chairman of Columbia EMI. Also Chief Barker in 1982. Next to him, Mr. Peter Yates, the producer-director. He was trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and worked in repertory before entering the film world. Has a list of distinguished and successful films to his credit, ranging from comedy right through to human drama. And next to him, waiting rather nervously, Mr. Ronald Harwood. Now, the Duke there having a chat and a joke, as only the Duke can on these occasions. And now Mr. Ronald Harwood, who has been presented to the Queen, born in Cape Town. Notice that Albert Finney mentioned Robert Atkins, whom I met once many years ago. I just wonder whether or not when he was in Cape Town he ever saw Sir Robert's touring company. Now Mr. Theo Cowan, described to me as the doyen of cinema publicists, very well known in the industry, on the organizing committee of the Royal Film Performance as well. And now Jean Marsh in that very distinctive blue check dress. I hope I haven't offended anybody there. I think that's a choker. Of course, the familiar face of Jean Marsh, known for her part as Rose in Upstairs, Downstairs. now making a film called Oz. I'm not quite sure whether it's a remake of the original Wizard of Oz, but it's going to be called Oz, and she plays the Wicked Witch. Not sure who the Duke is chatting to there. Now, this is Catherine Grayson. She is one of the singing stars of MGM, of course. Kiss Me Kate, Showboat, Toast of New Orleans, just a few of her credits. And so we move on to Edward Fox. Edward Fox, of course, plays Oxenby, a member of the touring company. And now, of course, Tom Courtenay, who plays the camp Norman in The Dresser. First time he's ever worked with Albert Finney, which I find rather surprising. A nervous man, as you may have detected in the interview he did a little while ago. And there's the Duke talking to Jean Marsh. Her Majesty the Queen, very interested in the theatre, of course, and the world of cinema. Interesting, isn't it, that this is the first time that Albert Finney has created for the screen this part of Sir. Not an easy thing, opposite to his friend Tom Courtenay, who was so used to playing Norman. There's the pair of them, now firm friends. Tom Courtenay is going to Hollywood. Which one of them will get the Oscar? They've both been nominated for the part of Best Actor. Now the Duke chatting to Edward Fox. Back again with Her Majesty, and you can see that lovely embroidery there. And there's little Hayley Lasky, 6 years old. She represents the fourth generation. What a pretty little dress she's wearing too. Fourth generation associated with the Benevolent Fund.